Report card. Who be the baddest? Show me the greatest. She be the illest. Who be the maddest? Rock popo. Report card. Rock popo. Report card. Oh rock popo. Report card. Show your report.
All right, SML. Here's the first episode of Midseason Report Card, where we're going to take a look at how each team has done up to this midway point of the season and give them a grade for the season and tell a little bit about them. So without any further ado, we're going to start with the first team on our list at number 32, receiving an F, the Pittsburgh Steelers and KJ. This team is last in offense at 9 points per game. They're scoring 9 points per game. Twice he's been on the losing end of the Player of the Week award that was done by Death Wish and Prime. So he's the first two-time recipient of that. And the closest game that he's even played up till now is 15 points. He's averaging giving up 34 points per game, which is 31st. And the Steelers aren't a bad team. So KJ, you're 32 with an F. Now, that 32nd spot wasn't definitely guaranteed to be KJ. There was another team here that put up quite a fight trying to get that 32nd spot, and that's going to be the Lions and Hova at 0-6. Hova's right now got the 29th ranked offense with 17 points per game. He's got the 28th ranked defense at 32 points per game. He's been blown out by two teams that were under 500. You have the Falcons and the Packers. Both teams under 500. Both teams blew him out. And the closest games that he's even played were forced losses when he couldn't play early in the season. So the Lions are also going to get an F. Coming in at 30, we have our first one-win team, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles and Chris. He's sitting at 1-5 right now with the 25th ranked offense, the 32nd ranked defense. He's got the worst defense in the league, giving up 35 points per game. The 3-5 Falcons, who'll be on this list a little further up there, but not much. They beat Chris and his Eagles by 25 points. His only win so far was against Rowan. Rowan's sitting at 3-5 right now with the Giants, and they play each other twice a year. So a lot of times those division games are a little closer than other games. But right now, Chris coming off a one-win season, starting this one 1-5. He's going to come in at 30, and he's going to get an F as well. So next up, another one-win team, Tiny and the Seattle Seahawks, sitting at 1-5. He's got the 22nd ranked offense. He's scoring 22 points per game, which isn't bad. But when you have the 26th ranked defense and you give up 29 per game, you don't win many. He has kept a couple games close, but right now his wide receiver core could really use some help. He's got 14 drops on the season, and that's not going to lead to wins. So right now, Tiny, you're 1-5. Just because of the DK Metcalf trade alone, you've got an F. Next up, we're going to move to the 28th ranked team. And now coming in at 28 on our list is going to be the Houston Texans in October. So right now, he's got the 30th ranked offense, sitting at 16 points per game. But he does have a little bright spot there. He's the 11th ranked defense, only giving up 23 per game. So the defense is doing what they can. It's just that offense is having some problems right now. He showed a little bit of flashes against the Chargers, but other than that, it's not looking good for the Texans. But because of that 11th ranked defense, we're going to give him a D-. So our first grade that's not an F goes to the Texans with a D-. Next up, 27, and it's the Chargers with Death Wish. So Death Wish ended last season with a win over Dan. Everybody thought maybe we got something here in a Chargers owner that's going to make that AFC West just a little bit better. But right now he's sitting at the 24th ranked offense and the 25th ranked defense. Definitely near the bottom of the league right now. I'm not sure if he just doesn't know what he wants to do with that team, but he needs to find a way to win close games because right now he's losing the close ones. And that includes 3 games to San Francisco, Tennessee, and Kansas City. If you're going to be close in games, you got to start coming away with some of the wins. So the Chargers are going to be 1-5, and we're going to give him a D-. Next up at 26, we've got the 2-win Titans. I don't know what's going on with Coop right now. He's got the 28th ranked offense, the 18th ranked defense. His defense, I just played him. He's got superstars all over the field. But his problem, for some reason, ever since he had that last second loss to the Colts, he's been 20th in rushing. He's got no stability at the quarterback position. He just switched quarterbacks again right before our game, and now after our game, it looks like he's gonna go get Ryan Tannehill. Hopefully, get some help at that quarterback position. But mostly, he just needs to lean on Derrick Henry. There's no reason the Titans should be down here at 26 and 20th in rushing. He needs to lean on Derrick Henry. So for that, Coop's going to get a D. We have next 25, the Bengals. This was Faz's choice to win the AFC North, so we're going to blame a little bit of this on Faz. It's his kiss of death. That could be accounting for the Bengals' 31st ranked offense, scoring only 13 points per game. Defense sitting at 19th ranked. They've only allowed 26. But right now, the Bengals have to stop with the turnovers. The interceptions are just absolutely killing them. And until he fixes that, he's going to be at the bottom of this list and making Faz look bad. So at 25, the Bengals with a D. Next up, at 24th, is ZZ's Chiefs, sitting at 2-4. ZZ's Chiefs have the 16th ranked defense. They're only giving up 25 points per game. But the offense, with Patrick Mahomes, with Tyreek Hill, with Mecole Hardman, with Travis Kelce, are sitting at 26th right now and only scoring 20 points per game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his running back, is averaging 3.2 yards per carry. How are you averaging 3.2 yards per carry when everybody is sitting back trying not to get just destroyed by your streaks and bazooka? ZZ, you're sitting at 24, but you're getting an F because you have a roster that should be nowhere near 24th. Next up is going to be the Saints. Saints and Colts. This was my pick to lose 10 games. He's halfway there. But he's coming in at 23. He's 3-5. He's got a 16th ranked offense, 27th ranked defense. So his defense can definitely be beat. Look, Colt, we get it. You like Hurst. You like Kamara. You're going to have to use somebody else, though, because everyone else knows it. Right now, you've got 16 drops. You're on a 2-game winning streak, but teams that are paying attention, they're figuring out how to play you with Hurst and Kamara. If you're going to avoid that 10 losses, you're going to have to do something else. So right now, you're sitting at 23, and you've got a D. Now, surprise team here at 22. I didn't expect to see them this high on the list, but we have Latin Yank and the Jets sitting at 4-3. He hasn't really won too many games against great teams. He's pretty much just winning in his division. But he's coming in at 4-3. I don't think anybody saw him winning 4 games with this team, and it's definitely an improvement. And he's shown the ability to keep games close and occasionally come out on the winning side. So even though he's got the 20th ranked offense and the 24th ranked defense, he's going to come in at 22. And because of that roster, we're going to give him a C+ for having a 4-3 record. He's going to have to win against some better teams, but 4-3 is pretty good, especially with the Jets. So we're giving him a C+. Next up, we're going to stay in New York for the 21st ranked team, and it's going to be Rowan and the Giants at 3-4. I don't know what happened to Rowan. He used to have this offense that was scoring like 40 points a game. Now he's at the 19th ranked offense, scoring 24 points, and his defense is actually ranked 14th in the league, which is the top half, giving up 25 points per game. If he can keep that defense and then find the offense from the last 2 seasons, I don't know if it left when Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton left, but you got to find something. Try to build off that win against Faz, and we're going to give Rowan a C. So Rowan's going to get a C. Next up at 20, we have Lawyer and the Falcons. This is a team that, coming into this cycle, people probably thought was going to be a little bit higher, or actually probably a lot higher. But right now he's got the 14th ranked offense and the 23rd ranked defense. And I think what's holding him back right now is he's just got a rookie quarterback, and he's got to kind of push through those growing pains. He's going to have interceptions. You're going to have errant throws, but you just have to push through it, dev him. And then Lawyer with that team should be moving up this list as the season goes on and into the rest of the cycle. So we're going to give the Falcons a C. It's tough with that rookie quarterback, but he's got him at 3-5 right now. At 19, we've got Mike and the Packers. He's sitting at 2-5. He's played some tough competition so far, though. He's got the 21st ranked offense, scoring 23 a game, but he has a top 10 defense. Right now, he's ranked 8th, giving up 21 points per game. And you would think with a top 10 defense, he'd be a little better than 2-5, but he's thrown 17 interceptions and has a 57.9% completion percentage with really what's probably one of the better quarterbacks in the game. So Mike really needs to figure out that offense. Try to stop turning the ball over. You got Aaron Jones, who's doing pretty good. Maybe give him the ball a little bit more. But Mike's coming in at 19, and we're going to give him a C. So middle of the road, Mike gets a C. Next up is going to be the Bears at 4-3. So the Bears just finished a game. Figs just played dump, and he was probably wishing he didn't because he got blown out in that game. Right now, he's coming in with the 27th ranked offense, 20th ranked defense, which is surprising given that the Bears have quite a bit of talent on the defensive side of the ball. But he has now 4 games under 10 points. So when he gets beat bad. Figs, he had a NFC Championship game appearance in the first season, and it's really been all downhill since then. So I'm going to give you a C as well. Now, next up at 17, this is somebody that was just in chat yesterday, in fact, talking about they were back, and it's Noel and the Bills. He's moved to 4-4. He does have a pretty good ranked team as far as his statistics go for the season. He's 12th ranked offense, 13th ranked defense. He's got 2 wins against 4-3 teams, but those are the 2 4-3 teams in his division. His other 2 wins are against winless Lions and Steelers team. And then he just lost to the Jets, and I haven't seen him in chat since. He has had a fairly tough schedule outside of his conference, so other than those 2 winless teams, it hasn't been easy. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way going forward. He's got a couple games where he can really prove that he's back, but for a guy that was 13-3 to end last cycle, 4-4 is hardly back when you're only beating the winless teams. So we're going to give the Bills a C. And then we're going to move on to number 16. And speaking of guys that, most people would have thought would be higher, we've got Grams and the Cowboys. So Graham's sitting at 4-3 with the Cowboys. He's middle of the road with offense and defense, ranked 15th in both. He has no wins against teams with more than 3 wins, but his 3 losses are to teams with a combined 1 loss. So he's beaten the teams that he should beat. His schedule is kind of, it's either a really good team or it's a team that's near the bottom of this list. So it's kind of tough to get a read on him, but I think he's probably a middle of the pack team right now, kind of as his stats suggest. We'll see going forward. The first season he was like 13-3, one of the top seeds in the NFC, and then he's kind of fallen back to like an 8-8 team. So we'll see what happens. The division didn't get any easier with the addition of the Redskins or the Washington football team, but right now I have him at 16, and we're going to give him a C. At 15, we have the Patriots. Now, this is a guy that a lot of people had talked up before we really got to see much of his play, and that's Matt. He seems to be pretty good. He can play with anybody, but he's kind of erratic. He'll go from beating Paulie to losing to somebody he shouldn't lose to. But I think a lot of that has to do with his play style. He's a very run-heavy team, so not having many possessions is going to make it difficult to overcome an early deficit. And it kind of works both ways for him. So if he gets up early, it's a benefit. If he gets down early, it really hinders him. So at 4-3, his first full season, I think, in the league, I'm going to give him a C+ though at 4-3. He did have a big win against Paulie, so he's going to get a C+ for the Patriots. And that's going to move us to 14. 14, I really debated not even putting him on the list, but it's Royce coming in at 4-3. He's got a top 10 offense, bottom third defense. But I'm not even sure how to rank him. He's probably had more games played by the computer than he's actually played. So Royce is going to get an incomplete. Now we're moving into our number 13 spot. And had I done this list just a little bit later, I'd have probably moved him up the list a little bit, but it's Dump in the 49ers. He's 4-2, just came off a win against the Bears. That's going to bump him up to 5-2. He went into that game with the second-ranked offense, but the 29th ranked defense. Big thing I noticed about Dump is this year he seems to be leaning a little more heavy on Mostert and less stat padding on Hartwig. Just watching him and playing against him last season, I think there was a little bit of stat padding going on with Hartwig trying to develop him, and I think that hurt him a little bit. But it looks like he's finally back to leaning on Mostert, and now he just needs to learn how to play defense, and I think he'll shoot up this list. So we're going to give Dump a B+. Just coming back off of the way he went back to Mostert, I think that's enough to warrant a B+ there. Next up, we've got the Browns, 3-4. I don't know how Woods is 3-4 with the 5th ranked offense and the 5th ranked defense. Seems like he should be a lot higher on this list, but he's having some of the same issues that are plaguing Mike and some of the other teams. His quarterback play is erratic at best. He's got 14 interceptions, so despite having that high-ranked offense and defense, the 14 interceptions are just making it really difficult for him to come away with wins. So for that, and he's got a rookie quarterback, I'm going to give Woods a B. Next up at 11, and why shouldn't these teams be back-to-back? The Ravens. Woods and NYT kind of go back and forth about who's going to take the AFC North. So we're going to keep them neck and neck on this list. But the Ravens are going to come in at 11. NYT has them 4-3, 17th ranked offense, 12th ranked defense. But his 19 takeaways are kind of making up for that offense and really helping him get ahead in games. And we're going to keep him at 11, and he's going to get a B as well. Now we're going to step into the top 10, and starting off our top 10 teams is going to be RD and the Rams at 3-3. He's coming in 11th ranked offense, 22nd ranked defense, which is kind of uncharacteristic. I thought his defense was a lot better last season, but his offense has gotten better with Akers. He's got 3 tough losses, so he's sitting at 3-3. His 3 losses have been to Denver, the Raiders, and the Cardinals, and 2 of those losses have come in his last 2 games, which I know he's got some personal stuff going on. So I'm not sure if this record is accurate for how he's going to be the rest of the way going forward. So at 3-3, I still have him in my top 10, and he's going to get a B as well. At number 9, we've got the Raiders. So Future's a team that, it seems like it's weekly talked about. Is Future back? Is Future back? If we got to keep talking about it every week, then he's not back. But I think he's not far behind. I think he might just be just a tier below the top guys right now. And with the way he's building that team, I think he'll get there before the cycle's over. It has been a tough schedule so far, but he's got the 10th ranked offense, just kind of a trend for a lot of the top ranked offenses. He's got a 30th ranked defense, so he's got to figure out a way to get some stops, but that 10th ranked offense should help keep him in some games, and he's 4-3 right now. So I'm going to give Future a B. Then we have the Jaguars coming in at number 8, 6-1, 7th ranked offense, 1st ranked defense. But I think the Jaguars have benefited from a fairly easy opening schedule. And the offense needs some work, quite frankly. It's been disappointing on offense for the majority of the season. So for that, I'm going to put them at 8, and I'll take a B. Next up, we got the Vikings. Vikings should have been the top 3 spots somewhere on this list, but after their struggles lately, we're going to drop them down to 7. Faz is 5-2, and it's his offense. His defense is 2nd ranked in the league. He's only given up 16 a game, but his offense is now at 18 and only scoring 24 a game. Maybe he snapped out of it a little bit against the Packers. He didn't really get the offense going, but he was able to come away with a win. So at 7, I'm actually going to give Faz a B-, just because he was one of the top teams. He was a Super Bowl team, and he's dropped down to 7. So he's going to get a B- for this first half of the season just off his offensive play. Coming in at 6, we've got the Dolphins and Paulie at 4-2. He's 13th ranked offense, 10th ranked defense. He doesn't really have any bad losses. He lost to Dan and he lost to Matt. Matt was a close game. Dan was a little less close. But he's another team that's got a tough schedule, and he seems to be turning the ball over a little more than usual. I think he's got about 6 interceptions with Tua right now, which has him on pace to be a little worse than seasons past, I think. But he does still have an 82.7% completion percentage, which is obviously very good. So we're going to have Paulie at 6, and he's going to get a B+. Next up at number 5 is Meats with his 6-2 Cardinals. He's got top 10 on both sides of the ball. He's 3rd on offense, 7th on defense. The defense is starting to come around to match that offense, which is kind of scary. He always kind of relied on turnovers, and now he's really limiting the points against him. And Isaiah Simmons is going to be an absolute problem for opposing offenses. He's 8 games in right now, and he's got 13 interceptions and 5 touchdowns with his safety. All right, there's teams that don't have a receiver or a running back with 5 touchdowns, and he's got one with a defender. So anytime you can score points on the defensive side of the ball, that's going to be big. So I've got Meats coming in at 5, and he's going to be our first A-. He does have 2 losses, but he hasn't lost to bad teams. He's lost to the Broncos and the Buccaneers, both teams that are above him on the list. So we're going to give him an A-. Next up, probably could have went higher on the list, but because it's him, I'm going to put him at number 4, and that's 6-0 Dookie. Now he's first-ranked offense, 3rd-ranked defense, so the defense might be starting to come around. The numbers are a little buoyed, just like the Jaguars. He's had a fairly easy schedule with some of those games, playing the Steelers and the Bengals. Some of the tougher teams that he's played have put up points, so we'll see how that number kind of settles in the rest of the season. But he did have a strong defensive performance against that 2nd-ranked offense in the 49ers going into the bye week. So right now we've got him at 6-0. He's got an A. Pains me to say it, but we'll give him an A. Next up is Denver. So our first of our top 3 is going to be Dan and his Broncos, 6th-ranked offense, 4th-ranked defense, really balanced team, and he's played a really tough schedule. But he's managed to go 7-1 with that tough schedule. The lone loss coming to the Colts, which I'm sure that still stings a little bit because that 10-point game wasn't nearly as close as the score. So he's probably not feeling real good about it. But since then, he's gone 3-0 against 3 top 10 teams from this list, being the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and the Raiders. So if nothing else, he's definitely bounced back from that, and we're going to give him an A. Could have been an A+ if he'd had beaten Prime, but he just gets an A at 7-1, coming in as our 3rd-ranked team. All right, so we're down to our top 2, and we're going to go ahead and name our number 2 team, and it's Prime and the Colts. He's coming in at 6-1, 4th-ranked offense. But he's had some issues on defense. 17th ranked defense, giving up 26 points per game. Really balanced on offense, which going into this season, I was expecting a little bit more DK Metcalf. But I almost think DK Metcalf is the reason he's got more interceptions than usual. I think he might be trying to take a few more chances throwing the ball with Metcalf out there, and it's leading to more interceptions. So I'm going to give Prime an A on the season so far. And that's going to obviously lead us one team left for that number 1 spot, and it's going to be the Washington football team with the new guy out of Washington. We're not going to say his name because he's just the new guy in Washington. He's got the 8th-ranked offense, 9th-ranked defense. He's a relative unknown, but his only hiccup so far has been to Coop. And Coop had 172 yards with Derrick Henry. And everybody knows Coop is more than capable of throwing together a win against anybody in the league if he gets Derrick Henry going. And that's what happened to Washington and the new guy. But he does have wins over Prime, and not to mention 2 big wins over Grams. One was really shocking to open the season, and that kind of opened my eyes to him. But we've got him at number 1 right now. But the next 3 games are the Vikings, the Jaguars, and the 49ers. And I think that's going to give us a little bit better idea of where he's at and how accurate this list might be. But he was my pick on Heat Check to go ahead and take the NFC's number 1 seed. He's going to need Dookie to lose at least 1 game for that to happen, but he's still in the running. So that's the top 32 teams from 1 to 32, 32 to 1, whichever way we did it. And I'm sure people are going to disagree with their ranking, and that's fine because I don't really care. But that's where I got you ranked. So if you don't agree with it, go out and prove me wrong. But thanks for listening, guys, and hope everybody does better and improves their ranking for the next report card, whenever that may be.
Report card. Who be the baddest? Show me the greatest. She be the illest.